Hapaday, thank you for having me, Steve, and thank you all for sharing your time with us tonight. I'm representing the small island of Guam in the West Pacific, and I've always been excited about the European American avant-garde, particularly how these poets have engaged with the aesthetics of Africa, Asia, Oceania, and Native America to make their work less boring. So in trying to theorize a Pacific avant-garde, I deduced that I need to kind of engage with the European American aesthetics to make my work more boring. In that spirit, I will read one poem tonight. It's called The Micronesian Kingfishers. The Micronesian Kingfishers is a bird native to my home island. In our language, it's called Isihik. And Guam became a U.S. colony in 1898, and as the U.S. militarized our island after World War II, these snakes, brown tree snakes, came to the island as stowaways on military cargo ships. Because there were no snakes on Guam before, no natural predators, the snakes colonized the island very quickly and destroyed our entire bird population. So about 80% of our native birds are extinct, the other 20% are endangered, living in captivity. So I grew up without ever hearing any birds. Yeah. So this poem is about this one bird that still is hanging on. The Micronesian Kingfishers. What does not change is the will to colonize. Hita, itatatanu. I was still awake. I remembered no birds. How, when I entered, the jungle was empty. The bright blue, green, turquoise, red, gold feathers everywhere. Brown, tree snakes, avian, silence. When we saw them, they were at our doors, but it did not matter. They were already sliding along the passages of the night, finding themselves in the roots of empire. Quote, the Micronesian kingfishers were last sighted in the wild in 1988. Their words had been species survival plan. Suddenly everyone captured and transferred 29 Micronesian kingfishers to U.S. zoos for captive breeding. Hita, itatatanu. The exterior features: quarter-inch plywood screen mesh cage front, bumpers, burlap shield over screen mesh, interior ceiling, foam rubber or burlap stuffed with straw, external minimum size 9-inch by 9-inch, internal height minimum 10-inch clearance between floor and ceiling pattern, perching 0.5-inch diameter. The recommended minimum enclosure size for breeding pairs is 10 feet by 8 feet, with the height at 10 feet. Containment should be either solid material, wire mesh, or glass. For wire enclosures, mesh size should not exceed 1 inch. There have been several cases in which kingfishers have attacked their images reflected in glass cage fronts. These are the features, not the legends. The birds are birds, almost all dead. Inside snake belly, Isihik will not spread seeds in trade winds or avert pests, nor without nest birth eggs to still the open air. Hita, itatatanu. It's true, it's difficult to place nest logs at this height in captivity. Attempts should be made to hang nest logs as high as is reasonable. The U.S. National Zoo has had success using a pulley system to lower and raise the nest log in order to check for eggs with minimal disturbance to the birds. Logs have been placed in several orientations with success. The most common is vertical placement, but pairs have successfully excavated and used logs that were placed horizontally. On these simulacra, Isihik is born and fed and dies. When snakes writhe, the jungle dies, even the lattice stones break. Quote, a rare Micronesian kingfisher hatched at the National Zoo's Conservation and Research Center. The chick weighed 5.5 grams, 2004. Quote, our newest pair of Micronesian kingfishers at the San Diego Zoo is currently raising a chick, 2007. Quote, 2 of Guam's endangered Micronesian kingfishers were released from quarantine at the Department of Agriculture. The female birds arrived in Guam about a month ago from the Philadelphia Zoo, both hatched at the St. Louis Zoo, 2008. Quote, a Micronesian kingfisher recently hatched earlier this month at the Lincoln Park Zoo in Chicago, 2009. Quote, the St. Louis Zoo has hatched 41 chicks since 1985. Recent modifications to the birdhouse habitats have now made it possible to house a pair of these rare birds for visitors to see. Not one trespass, but many. The accumulation of theft The flag whip proves, the flag whip is the law. Hita, itatatanu. Into our ancestral land we can't step. When land is polluted, we are polluted. No one remains. Around our disappearance, one common truth. Use their words, adopt their habits, have only speech, skin, wisdom, body in mimicry. The signs are in the birds and the cages. The signs are destruction and control. Both involve colonizing is a continuous chain of immeasurably destructive events in time is the death of air is the death of water is a death between the origin and the nation, between death and the ending of all nests. Is thievery, takes everything. And it's strong grasping when it suffocates our breath, this choked thing we are. Ekunguk, ekunguk. Where our old blood speaks, where new waves break of rising. With what trust, what cuts our tongue, how fear, money lust, and language can rot. What follows their flag, what saws within. Hita. If we are to survive, it is because we refuse to be slain in their territorial sun. We ask ourselves, will we resist where weapons mount, rise above fences? Hita. Itatatanu. Thank you.